Go ahead.
Tuesday, 11 September, was a warm, sunny, late summer day. I arrived at the Army-Navy tennis courts in Arlington, Virginia, around 8 o'clock in the morning to monitor the day's tournament play. I was the tournament director for a national tennis championship. I walked into the tennis pro shop where several players were having coffee and watching the morning news and the stock market reports. All of a sudden, the TV switched to a horrendous sight. The first tower of the World Trade Center had just been struck by an airplane. It was about 8:45. The room went silent. None of us had ever experienced such a sight. Shortly thereafter, about 20 minutes later, a second plane appeared. It banked and crashed right into the second tower. I knew it was a terrorist attack. I did not want to see any more. I went outside and joined Elizabeth and Andy. As we stood there watching players warm up for their matches, suddenly there was a loud roar off to the west. The loud noise was coming from a commercial passenger plane. Its vision totally occupied the entire area of visibility in front of me. Maybe it was about 300 or 400 yards away. Its altitude was maybe 200 to 300 feet. Speed, I estimated around 400 knots. Wheels were not down for a landing. Our only thought was, what was its target? The White House, the Capitol, Senate office building, House office building? We got our answer in a moment when we heard the detonation as the plane struck the Pentagon, about a mile away from where we were standing. Andy Achenhauser was former general manager of WMAL radio station. As soon as he saw that the plane had struck the Pentagon, he ran to his car and headed to the Pentagon. He had a car radio that allowed him to cut into WMAL, which he did. He began broadcasting the scene in front of him. He was the sole on-scene broadcaster for quite a while. Back to the tennis courts now. My concern was for my wife and the busload of players' wives she had left with to take on a tour to Washington. I knew her route would be to pass right by the Pentagon, close to the time the plane would have passed over Shirley Highway. I wanted to contact her. I had borrowed a school bus from St. Agnes School for the tour. I called the school and asked if they had a radio telephone on board. They said, yes, we do, but it's inoperative. I found out later the bus had crossed the Pentagon River over Memorial Bridge just after the plane struck the Pentagon. A policeman on the DC side told my wife to get away from downtown and try to get to Maryland to take a bridge back to Virginia. By this time, people on board the bus had found out about the crash. They could see the smoke from the Pentagon. It took them several hours to return to the club. Much to the relief of a bunch of very worried but now relieved husbands, they all reunited. There were a few who wanted to cancel the tournament. I spoke with a couple of unofficial leaders in the players group and my senior officials to get their take. We agreed we would not cancel the tournament. It was our judgment the potential of any threat to us was remote, and the companionship of many friends during this stressful time would be comforting. The following day, the tournament continued. That evening, we enjoyed the traditional Wednesday evening banquet. The camaraderie and enthusiasm of the people at that time made it less stressful for a lot of us who had really had a very trying day. I always had a keyboard player at our banquets, normally for a patriotic tune or two and also for dance music. This time I had the musician play upbeat patriotic music, God Bless America, and all the service songs. It was really very pleasing, without encouragement, how the crowd stood for their service songs and sung their hearts out. A warm, satisfying conclusion to what had been a very emotionally difficult few days that none of us will ever forget.